Hollywood is a place of brilliance, talent, and unforgettable performances. But it's also a place where even the biggest stars stumble, whether it's bad direction, awful scripts, miscasting, or roles that simply never should have existed. Some performances go down in history not for their greatness, but for their glorious failure. Today, we're counting down the top 10 worst acting performances of all time, including one from Blake Lively, not as a personal attack, but as a look at how even talented actors can get trapped in the wrong role at the wrong moment. 10. Blake Lively, Savages, 2012. Blake Lively is charismatic, stylish, and has delivered strong performances in films like A Simple Favor and The Shallows. But Savages is the one film where critics widely agreed she was miscast. Her narration felt flat, her emotional beats didn't land, and the entire performance seemed overwhelmed by the film's chaotic tone. Blake wasn't the problem. The script gave her very little to work with, but the result still stands as one of the most criticized roles of her career.
Yeah.
Can you tell me about how that came about? Was it always in the script?
Yeah, Oliver decided from the beginning that it would be Ophelia who tells the story because she really is the central character. She's the one thread throughout every single character. And that was really hard because I'd never done voiceover for a movie before.
9. Keanu Reeves, Bram Stoker's Dracula, 1992. Keanu is beloved, iconic, and endlessly likable. But his British accent in Dracula remains one of the most meme-worthy acting choices in cinematic history. Critics called it stiff, unnatural, and distractingly misplaced. He later admitted he was exhausted during filming, and it shows. In a movie filled with gothic beauty and overwrought theatrics, Keanu's performance felt like he was reading lines phonetically from a textbook.
And Coppola's writing and the actors he assembled, it's gothic, it's rich in color, it's sexy, there's lots of blood. I think there's a couple of good scares. I think all in all it's just a very passionate
8. Cara Delevingne, Suicide Squad, 2016. Cara Delevingne's portrayal of Enchantress became a case study in how direction can sabotage an actor. Her human persona was shy and anxious, while her villain persona looked like she was improvising interpretive dance moves in a nightmare music video. Nothing felt consistent. Nothing felt grounded. The performance wasn't entirely her fault. The character was poorly conceived, but it still remains one of the most ridiculed performances of the decade.
You know, she's a character who'd never been in love and who'd never really experienced so much because she spent so long, you know, getting good at her job and finding like life in that.
7. Russell Crowe, Les Miserables, 2012. Russell Crowe is a commanding actor, but when Les Miserables asked him to sing, audiences were stunned for all the wrong reasons. His voice lacked the emotional power of the character Javert, turning dramatic musical numbers into flat, toneless monologues. Even fans of the film admit Crowe's songs felt disconnected from the rest of the cast. His acting was solid, but the vocal performance became infamous.
I got involved because Cameron McIntosh called and said that, it was his intention to make a movie out of this musical, and had I seen it, And embarrassingly, I hadn't, I mean, I knew of it and I knew how popular it was and how many people loved it, but I hadn't actually seen it, so.
6. George Clooney, Batman and Robin, 1997. George Clooney himself has openly apologized for this role. His Batman lacked intensity, emotion, or even basic presence. Every line was delivered with one of two expressions, smirking Bruce Wayne or smirking Batman. He didn't just play Batman, he played George Clooney wearing a batsuit. Critics labeled the performance as phoned in and passionless. Even Clooney says he killed the franchise.
It was more fun than I thought it would be. I thought it was going to be a lot harder on the set. I've never been involved in a film of this size. I've never been involved in a film of this scale. There was just the money involved, the size of the sets, the size of the stars involved. So with all of those involved, sometimes I thought it would be very tense.
5. John Travolta, Battlefield Earth 2000. Travolta's performance as Turl is larger than life in the worst possible way. His exaggerated voice, cartoonish mannerisms, and unhinged energy turn the film into an accidental sci-fi comedy. Battlefield Earth is widely considered one of the worst films ever made, and Travolta's performance sits at the center of that disaster. It's overacted to the point where it feels like parody. 4. Madonna, Swept Away, 2002. Madonna has delivered solid acting before, but Swept Away was a disaster. Critics found her performance emotionally empty, rigid, and lacking chemistry with her co-star. Every scene felt forced, every expression felt rehearsed. The film vanished quickly, and Madonna later acknowledged the project simply didn't work. It remains a reminder that star power doesn't always translate to powerful performances. 3. Mark Wahlberg, The Happening, 2008. "The trees are killing us" might be the tagline, but the real shock came from Wahlberg's acting. His line delivery felt like soft-spoken confusion. His reactions seemed mismatched to the horror around him. His tone hovered between whispering teacher and nervous tourist. Critics called it unintentionally comedic, a sincere actor trapped in a film that had no idea what it wanted to be. Wahlberg himself has joked about how bizarre the movie turned out. 2. Tommy Wiseau, The Room, 2003. Tommy Wiseau's performance is so famously bad it created its own cult following. Every line reads like it was spoken by a man studying human emotion from a distance. The delivery, the timing, the facial expressions, nothing matches the tone of the scene. And yet, that's what makes The Room a phenomenon. Wiseau didn't just act badly, he transcended badness into unintentional genius. People still quote his lines because they're so strangely memorable. 1. Hayden Christensen, Attack of the Clones, 2002. At the top of the list sits a performance that has been debated for 2 decades. Hayden Christensen is talented. His work in later films proves it. But in Attack of the Clones, everything went wrong. Awkward dialogue, emotionless delivery, stiff posture, and a romance subplot so uncomfortable it became legendary. Lines like, "I don't like sand. It's coarse and rough and irritating," became part of internet history. The issue wasn't Hayden himself, it was the direction, the dialogue, and the impossible task of turning Lucas's script into natural conversation. Still, the final performance remains the single most criticized acting role in blockbuster cinema. Every actor on this list has talent. Many of them have Oscars, blockbusters, and critically acclaimed roles that prove their skill. But Hollywood is unpredictable. Sometimes the script is wrong, the direction is off, or the character simply doesn't fit. These performances didn't fail because the actors are bad. They failed because filmmaking is a delicate chemistry, and one wrong ingredient can ruin the whole mixture. Blake Lively, Keanu Reeves, they improved, reinvented themselves, and delivered great work later. But these roles remain unforgettable reminders that even the biggest stars can stumble. If you enjoyed this deep dive into Hollywood's most notorious acting misfires, make sure to like and subscribe for more breakdowns, rankings, and cinematic explorations.